Spezzatino di Manzo. Spezzatino means little pieces, and Manzo means beef. So, in English, this is an Italian beef stew with some creamy polenta. Alright, you want to start by getting the pot on the flame with a little bit of olive oil at the bottom. Now you want to put some of your beef in. Make sure you got some beef chuck or any other cut that's good for braising. So what we're aiming here is to get the meat browned all over. Now, as you can see, the meat's stuck to the bottom quite a lot. Now you just want to leave it like that and then just give it a little nudge, and if it doesn't release by itself, it's not brown enough. The meat will let go once it's ready. It'll tell you. There's a couple of bits already done. Here's a prime example. This bit was stuck before. Now just give it a little push with the wooden spoon and perfectly brown. As I said, the meat will let you know when it's ready to flip. So if you didn't state it before, if your pot's not big enough to fit all the meat in at one time, do it in batches. Then once your meat's all brown, you want to remove it all from the pot onto a plate. It can also be the same one you had the raw meat on. This isn't actually finished cooking, we're going to be putting it back in, so it doesn't really matter. You know, save on dishes and all that jazz. But you're not getting that. Damn meat trying to escape from me. You going in the belly, buddy. Now in that same pan, do not wash that out. That's all that good flavour we already built up on the bottom. You want to go in with a couple of onions, roughly diced up, and hit it with a little bit of salt. Not a whole bunch. What's that going to do? That's going to help start drawing out the moisture inside the onion, which is then going to leak out into the pot, and it's going to help us deglaze and get all that good fond we built up off of the bottom of the pot. Also, it's worth noting, you shouldn't be doing this on a high heat, because then you will burn what's on the bottom of the pot, and you don't want that. You just want to give it a mix around, then once the water starts coming out, we'll come back and I'll show you what I mean by getting all that good stuff up. Bottom of the pot, it's pretty clean at the moment, so I'm just going to make a little hole in the centre. Put a little bit of olive oil in there. Now I'm not sure why I do this, but I always do. Next thing to add in is some garlic. Now I like to put a little bit of oil in there, put the garlic straight onto the oil, and then just let it sit in that hot oil for a good 30 to 45 seconds before I mix it through the onions. I don't know why I do it, that's just the way I always do it. So the reason why I do this, now I said I don't know why I do it, I think it takes the harsh bite out of the garlic and just makes a nice garlic perfume throughout the whole dish. I don't know if it actually works, but I think it does. Give it a try, maybe you'll think it works too. Let me know in the comments down below. Now I'll get in with a couple of sticks of carrot and about a half a celery root. I'm going to bung that in. Also, as soon as you put that in, follow it with a little shake of salt. You should always season your dishes as you go, because if you just put a whole bunch of salt in at the end, it ain't going to be seasoned properly. So a little bit of salt all the way through the cooking like this, and then you'll do the final adjustment right at the end. So I'm just going to give these a good mix through, and then we'll let these veggies start cooking down some. So as I said before, we don't want nothing to burn on the bottom of this pot, but if the vegetables aren't releasing their liquid quick enough before stuff starts burning, don't be afraid, just add a splash of water right where it's starting to stick to the bottom, and that steam will help release all that good fond off before it burns and gets all bitter and nasty. So as you can see, got a little bit here, it's taking a little long to get off. A little drop of water, give it a little rub with the wooden spoon, and that comes off. And because it's just a little bit of water, it's not going to drown your stew and make it all tasteless. It's going to evaporate pretty much instantly. So, little handy tip there for you. Next ingredient I'm putting in is a bit of fresh thyme. About a tablespoon's worth of freshly chopped up thyme. You can also use rosemary, but I had a thyme bush that survived the winter, so that's what I'm using. So we'll just give that a quick mix through the veg. And as soon as we give it a quick mix, we'll go on back in with our beef, including any resting juices that are left on the plate. Give that a good scrape in. Now we're going to give this a good mix and get everything, you know, one big happy family in there. Now we're gonna go in with some red wine. So I'm just gonna give this a little mix in. Scrape a little bit of the mixture to the side and see how far it comes up. Because we're gonna reduce this by a little over half the amount. So you can also do it like this. Stick your wooden spoon in all the way to the bottom and then see how far it comes up. So mine's about on this little brown mark there. So I'll let it come halfway down there and then we'll come back. I forgot an ingredient, tomato paste. Now you should have put this in before you put the red wine in, so it lets it cook out that raw tomato taste. So I'm gonna put a little bit less than I usually would in. What's that? I don't know, about a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons worth. And I'll just give it a mix in. Hopefully it doesn't taste too tomato pasty at the end. Hopefully it just still brings that nice sweetness that it usually brings. But this is a good way to test if you actually have to cook the tomato mark out before you put it in. I'll let you know at the end. Did my little wooden spoon trick and we're reduced by just under half. So now I'm gonna add this. It's a little gravy stock pot. Now, the best thing to use would be some homemade beef stock, but I didn't have any time to make any. Second best thing to use would probably be some, pre-bought stock at the supermarket. Supermarket was out of that, so I saw this little thing, and I was a bit iffy if I should actually use it or not. But I bought it anyway, then I opened the lid, lo and behold, it smells like Vegemite. So me being an Australian, I think it's gonna be pretty damn good. My wife, Austrian, she's a bit skeptical of it. Anyway, I'm gonna add it anyway. Gotta give it a little mix around. Even though it's not fully cooked, this is actually smelling pretty damn good. I'll just give it a little mix around. Give it a nice little press down. Then we're gonna add some water. Just enough so it comes up and covers the beef. Which is not gonna be too much. Oh, put a little bit more in there. How much water you put in is greatly gonna depend on how big you cut your vegetables, which, as you can see here, I cut up mine quite small because when I eat this stew later on, I just want to use a spoon. I don't want to have to get a knife and fork and, faffing around with that. I want mine nice and small. And the second thing that's going to depend on how much water you use is the size of your pot. If you've got a bigger pot, obviously you're going to use more water. If you've got a smaller pot, you're going to use less. But for me, that was about ½ litre. So I'm going to bring this pot up to a simmer. Then you can do one of two things. You can leave it on the stove at a low heat with your lid on, and having to keep tending it every half an hour or whatever to make sure there's enough liquid in there. Or you can do it the smart way, like me. Set your oven to 150 and bung it in there. Then you don't have to worry about it for about 2 hours. Okay, so my stew's been in the oven for about 2.5 hours now, and the meat's pretty much fall apart tender at this point, because you just push a little bit with the wooden spoon and it falls apart. But I'm not happy with the consistency, which is okay, because I'm going to put this on the back of the stove at a low heat without the lid, let it evaporate some while we make the polenta. So in a pot, we go in with some milk. I only had light milk in the fridge, so I actually went 50-50 with cream and light milk. And then we're going to go in with the same amount of the milk and the cream, just with some water. Then we're going to bring it up to a gentle simmer. Well, the liquid's just up to coming into a boil now, so I'm going to start pouring in the polenta and stirring at the same time to avoid any lumps. I got all the polenta tipped in. Don't forget the salt. Alright, I got it down to a medium heat, and this is going to be my life for about the next 10 to 15 minutes. Just sitting here, mixing the polenta. Okay, when your polenta's just about done, you want to turn your attention back to the stew here. So if you like a thick stew like I do, just get a bit of a cornstarch slurry going, make sure it's up to a simmer, and just pour a bit in, give it a mix, and thicken it up some. Now you could add flour to the beef right at the start, but this is the best way I've found to thicken a stew, right at the end, and then you can get the exact consistency you're after. Which, I like mine thick. Alright, your polenta's pretty much done. Go ahead, add some butter, and mix it until it's nice and melted. And then add some grana padano to the rest of it. And mix it until it's all nice and gooey. Let's see how this tastes compared to other stews around the world. I don't usually add red wine to my stews, so the flavour of that actually comes through quite well. And as for that tomato paste, where typically everybody says you got to cook it out, otherwise you get this raw tomato paste flavour, I think we can call that myth busted. So, as far as Italian stews goes, pretty much everything you want. Hearty, meaty, beefy, and with some creamy polenta, I think they got it right.